Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about arrangement. So arrangement is essentially how the track starts and progresses over time. So I've set out a useful MIDI arrangement. You can make a new MIDI clip by pressing Command-Shift-T or by right-clicking in the track section and then left-clicking insert MIDI track like so. And you can make a new MIDI clip by double-clicking in the arrangement view and then backspace to delete. And you can, if you get the edge, you can drag the MIDI clip longer, and if you do Command R you can rename to whatever you like. So the first 16 bars up to 17 bars is going to be the intro of the track. So it's going to be basic elements such as drums, maybe a vocal or pad. It's going to be stripped back and introduce some of the more important elements of the track. Normally a basic drum groove, no bass, probably no synths, but it really depends on the artist. Something you can do is listen to a reference track, which we will talk about in a later lecture. So the next 16 bars from 17 to 33 we have the build up. So again, this is just a MIDI clip just to show you guys, and if you right click you can change the colors. And another useful thing you can do is if you right click up here you can add a locator. So if you preferred you could have build up here. So it's essentially the same thing, right clicking along the time, the loop start point, and if you right click on it you can do add locator drop and just make sure it's lined up. You can drag these along like so. But for today we're just going to do this MIDI, and you can punch this in if you want. I'll save this as a template after and include it in the resources. So after the basic elements of the intro have been proceeding for the 16 bars, which is about 30 seconds, you can see down here there's a time ruler, and that's the how long the song is in Ableton. So if you scroll you can see the time, which is really useful. You know, you want a track to be about 5.5 minutes or maybe 7-8 minutes if you want an extended mix, maybe even 12 minutes for some tracks, even longer. There is an argument that tracks are getting shorter around the 2.5 minute mark, but I think it's good to have a lot of content and preferably 2 breakdowns in your track just to give it playability and make it DJ friendly and make sure that it's going to have a good chance of getting played out and kind of gives the crowd a rest. And so the build up is where there's going to be a building of tension and energy, and maybe some elements will be stripped back here. Sometimes before the drop and just after the build up there's a bridge. This can be a bar long, or it could be 4 bars long, it could be 2 bars long. It's really up to creativity and how you want the track to feel. So normally I'll do a bridge where I'll kind of get rid of the kick for a bar before the drop for a bit of silence, just to give the track a bit more impact for when the drop hits. So the build up is building tension. There's maybe going to be like a riser, some drums, or maybe kind of it could be no drums here and just kind of maybe like a snare roll instead of anything that's going to feature in the drop, and just kind of build up anticipation and get the listener ready for the drop. So the drop's going to happen here, 33 bars to 49, and that's going to be the highest energy segment of the track. It's also going to be the most complex. All the drums will be here. There'll be bass and all sorts. So for context, I've actually got a song underneath here, the Tech House After Party song, which you're going to cover in a later lecture where I'm going to be making this in 15 minutes and you'll see how it's made. But you can see the intro, you know, there's a kick and drums and there's a crash, but after that I get after the intro, in the build up, I get rid of the kick, which gives space for new things in the frequency spectrum, such as some synth build up work. So these are going to be getting louder, and another crash to add tension, and it's basically going to build up into the drop. And here I deleted a little segment. This is what you'd call the bridge. So it's getting rid of that last kind of bit of drums here. So we could say bridge. Getting rid of that last kind of bit of drums before the drop, just to give tension and then kind of make the listener gasp for air. And then the drop hits, with the bass, and it hits with the bass and some additional drums. So it's, in terms of complexity, it's the highest complexity, it's got the most going on, and it's the highest energy. So you can hear this track later on, and there's synth work. There's 3 synths going on here. There's another synth, so there's 4, and then there's a lot of drums, some percussion, and a kick. And then after drop 1, so 33 to 49 bars, we've got drop 2. So there might be like a little edit, maybe another 1 bar where we get rid of the kicks here. I didn't in this song, but you can definitely do that for creative choice. And then drop 2, we've got some additional drum percussion, and maybe I'll switch it up by reversing some synth loops. You can just click on any audio and press R and it would reverse, but didn't do it in this song, but you definitely can in future music. And then there's another crash that's just quite a continuous theme throughout the song, just to give additional tension. And then after drop 2, we've got the first breakdown. So breakdown 1, some people really struggle with breakdowns, but I like to strip back the drums. This is a chance for release. So you have tension in the drop, and the build up in the drop, there's all tension and dancing and energy, and then in the breakdown 1 there's a release of energy, so the listener can take a breath and understand, like I can get a breath, and that, so maybe like a melodic element could come in here, like a pad or a new synth. So in this instance, for the breakdown, I've got rid of the kick, and I've got rid of the hi-hats, any additional percussion. I've got rid of the drum loops and a synth, and I've left 2 synths in there just to bounce off each other and give a bit of melody. I've left the bass in. It's totally optional, up to you if you want to leave the bass in. Sometimes I like to filter the bass using an auto filter, and then kind of have it automate back in and rise, and then the bass will come back in. And then we've got a build up, so we could maybe have like another snare roll here, and a riser, a white noise riser, and just go into drop 3. So similar to drop 1 and 2, it's going to be very high energy, very complex, and maybe we could change the octave of the bass by, you can double click on the bass, the audio, and it'll bring this up where you can see the audio up close, and you can kind of zoom in and out and move it around. But what you do is you can transpose the bass, and that's going to change the semitones and the key and the note that the bass is played in. So really powerful if you change this for the second drop, because it's going to keep the song fresh and keep the listener interested. Another thing we're going to talk about while we're here is these warp modes. So we'll definitely get into those in a later lesson also. So drop 4 happens at 97 bars to 113, and I've put drop 4 / mini edit because I like to have maybe 8 bars of drop 4 and then a kind of mini breakdown and then a build, and that's something that's popular in EDM, where you kind of strip everything down for the next 8 or so bars, and then build it back up, and it's just a quick release of tension and then more tension for drop 5. Also known as a chorus, but in EDM we call it a drop. So that's also complexity. Maybe switch things up a bit, add a new piece of percussion or a vocal in here. And then from 29 bars to 145 we've got breakdown 2. So again, release of tension. This breakdown has a kind of different groove to the first breakdown. I've added the hi-hats in after 8 bars of the breakdown just to give it a bit of movement and keep energy high later in the song. It's totally a creative choice, up to you, and there's a few crashes down the bottom just to keep the song moving and build tension. It's all about movement and groove and keeping the song going. And then 145 bars to 161 we've got drop 5, which is again similar to drops 1, 2, 3, the mini edit, and 4 and 5, but again, it's going to be high energy here, it's going to sound good, complex, and hopefully have everyone dancing. It's really important to have this as a catchy hook or high energy segment. So yeah, everyone's going to be dancing at the drop. And then to close the song we have the outro, which is in this case 161 bars to 177. So this is going to be again stripped back. Maybe you can get rid of the bass here and kind of have everything winding down and filter out any drum elements for the last 16 or 32 bars, and then the song ends. So that is arrangement, and this is what it looks like. I'm gonna save this top row of the arrangement, and I'm going to send this as a resource. I'll save it as a resource and upload it to the course, so you guys can start your project with this, and then work around it. Maybe save this as your default. So once you open this in Ableton, what you can do is if you go to preferences and then file folder, if you do save current set as default and you click save and then you click OK, it's going to open up this every time you open Ableton, so that could be useful to you and save you some time. So I hope that explains arrangement. I hope you guys look forward to using this template, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you very much, and speak to you on the next episode.